we were fortunate enough early in the fall, and I think we got them scheduled again for next year already. Just our entire program from a pitching side and an offensive side, to get kind of a consulting group in, just take a completely objective look at how our guys move. I think when you look at development and you look at the things that we're trying to do, we want to know as much as we can, and we want to do it as fast as we can, from a development standpoint. And sometimes having guys in that don't have, they don't know how productive these guys were last year. They don't know who our best player is. They don't know who our one of our worst players are. And, so they get just purely objective look at, how does this guy move? And I think so often as coaches, we get frustrated at things, and at times with guys that just aren't able, or they're restricted in the areas that we need them to excel in. And so before we get frustrated, we need to figure out how they're moving and measure that, which our staff does a tremendous job of already with Joel and Will. With our guys every day. They know them personally. They take measurements, and we measure everything. But having that group in, having our guys were thrilled about it. They just they think everything's like a video game. So when those guys come in and they measure everything mechanically, it gives them like a tangible look at, I am doing this, or from an efficiency standpoint, I'm losing energy here, and so it's our challenge with that. Our main challenge is figuring out how to cut it up in bite-sized pieces and make sure each guy gets the right thing. Now we have to really tailor it to the individual, know who can handle what, know who needs the most. Some of them were like, look, whatever they say is great, but like, you're in a really good place too, and that's the only kind of the caveat to it, is they're measuring on a thrower's efficiency just in a vacuum, not necessarily how to get guys out, not necessarily what each guy does from a pitching standpoint, how each guy does in the eyes of a hitter, which I think is a really, really important thing. Like, what's the hitter say? What do hitters do? That was a great week for our program. We plan on bringing those guys back next year. I think they're already booked. And if you just look at kind of like how best do we spend our resources, taking a week out of our schedule to do that, giving us a completely objective look at where we're at and what we need to kind of trend towards. We find out a lot of things about I find out a lot of things about myself as a coach, just kind of doing some different things, and maybe our staff trending in certain directions. And some of them were the right directions, and it affirmed what we're doing. Some of them were the wrong things, and so just like it pretty much bears all for everybody, which I think that accountability is good too for us, for the players, for everybody. Our three pillars for pitching is your stuff, your pitchability, and your game management. How many times can you get through the order with your stuff? Pitchability, do you know how to use your stuff? Can you command your stuff? Can you execute pitch sequences and really kind of string together combinations? Game management, do you hold the run game? Can you field your position? Do you get better with runners in scoring position? If you look at our kind of our template of starters last year, if those guys had one strength, they were great game managers. They all got better with guys on from the stretch, runners in scoring position. When the bullets are flying, how do they handle it? Bullpen type guys don't necessarily have to get through the order multiple times. They more just come in, get your job done, get 3 outs before you score a run, you give up a run. So I think when you look at guys, a couple things come to mind. How well do they execute pitches? Is it stuff or is it real command? Because if it's stuff, you can still be usable. Just the role probably diminishes. From an execution standpoint, 2-pitch guy, 3-pitch, 4-pitch, how well do they work together? How well do they funnel off each other? Can you get righties and lefties out? And then overall, just endurance, stamina. Everybody comes in, and our entire rotation or our entire freshman class, they're all like fringe high school, draft prospects. So everybody's like, I throw 90 miles an hour. how long do you throw 90 miles an hour? Or, are you 85 to 93, or are you 91 to 93? So just you look at the volatility of guys. Where's the ceiling? Where's the floor? Typically, starters are in our kind of opinion and the way we want it. We want a really high floor in our starters, where we can deal with a little bit more volatility out of the relief role, and then also something else that goes into that, a little bit of personality. Not everybody can handle having the ball late in games. And if as much as we would all like all three of our starters to go out and throw 90 or 100 innings, the most impactful innings are the toughest ones to finish out. So it takes a real competitor. It takes a special guy to be able to come in and do the things late in the game too. So equally valuable roles, but just from a personality standpoint, you kind of get an idea. So that whole sum of personality stuff, experience, production, age, endurance, all that stuff kind of goes into that. And then there are certainly guys that develop into, we'll have several of our freshmen right now that may not necessarily have a role carved out, on this, like today, but we value them as future starters. They have all the things that it takes to someday be a starter. Ability to get outs, weak contact early in the count, manage a pitch count, 3+ pitches or more, mechanics in a delivery to be able to go deep into games and things like that. So we got a real chat. I mean, you guys have seen it. It's a really gauntlet first month for us. And if you look at our schedule last year, there were some early challenges as well, and everything's on the road as you guys know. But really kind of going into that first weekend, in a lot of ways, just in a lot of main areas, the catching, the pitching, even up through the middle into center field, and we're gonna have a new guys everywhere. Just allowing some margin for error is just probably not going to happen. So we just got to do the best we can in the next couple months to get them ready. And Coach Mercer's message the whole time is just compete to the best of your abilities. And and if we do that and we don't worry about what's supposed to happen or where we're at, or we just kind of take care of ourselves. I mean, everyone's kind of looking forward to the challenge, but be a couple really, really fun road weekends. Put us in some environments where we're going our makeup's going to be challenged a little bit. Guys are going to have to be resilient, deal with adversity, and if nothing else, like this game is, doing special things once is not necessarily that difficult. It's being able to kind of do them multiple times and deal with the adversity in between. And again, I mentioned before the ceiling and floor of different players. It's the volatility matters. Getting guys, the consistent guy that can really show up here and play every pitch and be present, through failure, through success, and that's the stuff that we're going to find out a little bit early, which I think will be good for our group, as young as they are. I do think we're always going to have the plan to be trending as becoming the best club we can be into June. So the first month will be a great test. Then we'll switch over to conference play, and it'll be a fun schedule for sure.